Alright, so when editing this video, I noticed that the audio is kind of shit. I think it's because the microphone that I use on top of the camera just went a little wonky. So apologies for that. I'll make sure in the next video that the audio will be at the quality that I want for my videos, and just hope you forgive this one and hope you're still able to enjoy the video. And yeah, see you guys. How's it going, everyone? Graham back here for Variety Show, and today what I wanted to do, since we're in the middle of winter now, it's quite cold, I wanted to do some styling of a bunch of sweaters that we have in our wardrobe here. Just give you like an idea on how to style like a multitude of different sweaters, because right over here I have about 10 sweaters, I would say, and we're going to be putting together outfits for each one, just to show you the multitude of ways that you can style sweaters or cardigans so that you can stay warm during the winter season. And you don't always have to rely on, depending on your climate, you don't always have to rely on heavy outerwear. You can just use a big, thick, heavy sweater instead, and it'll still keep you pretty warm. So without further ado, we'll get on into the first sweater. Alright, so the first sweater that I have to style for you guys is this thin Song for the Mute sweater from their Spring Summer 16 collection called Artiste. Can't get much more of a pretentious name than that, but we'll go with it. This was around the time when Song for the Mute was sort of fit into that same category as a lot of other avant-garde brands like Julius, like Rick Owens. It was sort of fitting into that space. Ever since then, they went into, from what I noticed, they went into more of like a streetwear, graphic heavy sort of design, similar to what Young Lee has done with their menswear, which I'm not too much a big fan of. But back in 2016, I was still a very big fan of distressed garments, pre-distressed clothes. So I picked up this sweater. I'm not sure if you can tell on camera, but it has a very much a sort of purple hue. It's like a very deep, rich purple to it, and obviously has the distressings on multiple different areas of the shirt itself. So with that little bit of description, let's go right into how I styled it. Okay, so with this first look with the Song for the Mute sweater, I styled it fairly casual with my Raff by Simmons gray denim on bottom, and then on top I layered the Song for the Mute sweater over top of a Wise button down, just to showcase those holes in that distressing and give it like a slightly more disheveled, preppy look. And then on feet I ended up putting on my Jack Purcell's Converse, just to keep it very casual and simple. Okay, so this next sweater that I have to style is this absolutely massive one from CK205 West 39th NYC. I know that's a mouthful, but this is the line from Raph Simmons when he was designing for Calvin Klein, and they had the rights to use images from the Andy Warhol sort of collection for, I believe, a 3-year contract. So you saw a lot of Calvin Klein pieces during this sort of 3-year span, even under like Calvin Klein jeans, using a lot of these Warhol prints. This one is, I believe, called My Little Electric Chair, and it is printed on an asymmetrical fashion on this massive white sweater that has a sort of jacquard construction where it has black stitching underneath that sort of gives it this nice dark undertone to it. And yeah, not much more to say about this sweater aside from it being absolutely huge, and it's constructed out of cotton as opposed to a traditional sort of wool sweater type construction. So with that said, let's see how I styled it. Alright, for this massive Calvin Klein sweater, I just ended up styling it on bottoms with these wide undercover wool pants that just keep the same sort of oversized massive shape, as well as I finished it off on feet with these really heavy Dirk Bickenberg boots, just to add to the overall heaviness and vibe of the outfit. Okay, so for this next sweater, we have this cardigan, this really fuzzy cardigan from Issey Miyake. Not really too sure about any information regarding this piece in particular, just know that it has this really interesting mix of colors, from this sort of light beige creaminess that fades all the way into this really deep sort of dark chocolate color. And this sort of pattern sort of repeats itself throughout the cardigan, which makes it for a very interesting sort of statement piece to style. And let's see how I ended up styling it. So for this Issey Miyake cardigan, I just took a vintage black tee and turned it inside out just to not distract from the statement piece that is the cardigan. On bottoms, I ended up putting on my vintage Levi's 505s just for a very classic fit. And then on feet, I ended up putting on these furry palladium boots just to maintain the whole furry vibe. This next sweater was too big, or too wide I should say, in the neck to be able to fit on the hanger over there, so I'm just going to hold it up. This is a spring summer 2018 v-neck from Raph Simmons. This was during the whole sort of Blade Runner collection, where there was a lot of sort of fire buckle details throughout a lot of the pieces. So in this one in particular, it has the fire buckle and the cut back hem of it. So you can use this in a lot of really interesting ways when it comes to styling. You can either leave it super wide in the body and have this sort of dangle on the side, or you can wrap it up really tight to create this really voluminous sort of huge effect on your sort of top half. So I really love this sweater. I love the color, and it's just super heavy, super thick, very warm, especially depending on how you layer it. So yeah, really fun to style this one, and let's see what outfit I came up with. So this is an outfit that I've actually styled before on one of my old outfit Instagrams. I put on this Silent by Demir Doma shirt underneath with a half tuck just to create a lot of different layers going on. And then on bottoms, I once again put on the Raff by Raph Simmons gray jeans. And then on feet, I put on the And de Mulemister derbies that I have. And now you'll just see how tying up the whole buckle fastening system adds a different element and a different type of fit to the sweater, and that shows off its versatility in terms of styling as well. Turns out this next Raph sweater also does not fit itself on the hanger very well. I guess a lot of the pieces from Spring Summer 18 from Raph had such wide necks to them that you can't really hang them up, which is probably good for them. Just so you know, all the sweaters that I have been hanging up, I don't hang them up at all, aside from the purposes of the demonstration. You should never really hang your sweaters, as it will cause like deforming, especially in terms of the shoulders. So as far as storing your sweaters, just leave them folded in sort of like a chest or a drawer, whatever you have available to you. But yeah, this one is the Boatneck sweater from Spring Summer 18. This one is the one with the stripes. They also had this come out in, as far as the striped version, in a black with blue stripes and yellow stripes as well. So you see it has the red stripes for this one in particular on the sleeves and the front, and then it has the black stripes at the back, as well as the fireman buckles that you can either fasten or leave open to just create another sort of interesting layering effect to this sweater. And yeah, I had quite a few of these, but I ended up selling most of them just because I feel like I had too much of the same silhouette and I wasn't really wearing any of them that much. So I figured I'd just keep my favorite, and this is the one. Gives off somewhat of a Freddy Krueger kind of vibe. And yeah, I just think it's a really fun sweater and also a really fun piece to style. So for this Raph Simmons Boatneck sweater, I just ended up putting on a simple Dries Van Noten tank top on underneath, just so that you can see the whole sort of effect that the Boatneck has. And on feet, I put on those furry palladium boots once again, just to keep it heavy but not too heavy. And on bottoms, I put on these vintage pair of Fireman Pants that I found in a boutique in New York. These are very interesting. They're a 36 size waist that is belted down. It has a cinch belt on the side, so you can pretty much make it whatever size you want. And yeah, just a fairly simple outfit with a lot of different sort of unique elements to it that I think brings it all together. Alright, so this next sweater, or this next cardigan I should say, is one that I actually thrifted. I found this at our local Value Village. If you live in Canada, you should know that Value Village is like this chain of thrift stores, at least as far as Ontario is concerned, throughout the province. I'm not too sure about any of the other provinces, but yeah, this is just some like vineyard classics or vineyard classics. Not too sure about the brand, but it is made in Hong Kong, which I thought was quite interesting, and made out of 100% wool, obviously. Has some little holes here or there, but I think that just adds to the character. And it's this really nice sort of swampy green with these really nice colored sort of brown buttons which go along with the same sort of color palette. And it's just a really nice casual sweater that you can style in just sort of everyday type of looks. So for this cardigan, I ended up pairing it with my vintage helmet t-shirt. I believe this is from their milquetoast era, so that is about mid-90s, I would say. I thought the colors paired really well with the cardigan. And then on bottoms, I put on just a pair of vintage helmet length painter jeans and my Converse Jack Purcells once again on bottom. Okay, so this is one of the more interesting sweaters that we have in our whole collection. This one I believe is from 18 Autumn Winter Yohji Yamamoto. So what's interesting about this sweater is it's obviously a very exaggerated, oversized turtleneck sweater, featuring also this sort of like deconstructed, disconnected sleeve as well as shoulder, which also has a more unique or different type of weave to the sweater as opposed to the main body and the other sleeve. So this is more of like a, what's it called, sort of like a fisherman style knit or a rope knit type sweater material or weave for the sleeve, as well as it has these long leather tassels or long leather strings that are woven between each section to create this sort of loose connected effect that goes from the shoulder as well as right on near the neckline that goes all the way up the turtleneck itself. So it's a really cool sort of twist on your basic oversized turtleneck sweater, and it creates this nice little avant-garde sort of look to it that Yohji is obviously known for. So yet again, another really cool sweater, a nice twist on a sort of classic, and with Yohji you can't really do wrong. So for this outfit, I kept it very heavy and monochromatic, obviously all black. On bottoms, I ended up using a wide pair of Yohji trousers that we have in our collection, and on feet, I once again used the Dirk Bickenberg boots just to keep that sort of very heavy sort of mood that the sweater conveys. And yeah. Alright, so next up we have this sort of Aran knit sweater, I think it's called, with the butterfly charms throughout from Raph Simmons Autumn Winter 19. And what's interesting about this sweater in particular is it has this sort of dicky sort of overlay type thing on top, so you can either wear this sweater without this sort of piece of fabric on top and you can style it differently that way, or you can style it as a piece all together and it creates this sort of unique distressed effect. Was a really big fan of this Autumn Winter 19 collection from Raff, as it drew a lot of inspiration and like direct references to a lot of films from David Lynch, which is one of my favorite directors. So yeah, just really enjoy having this sweater as part of the collection, and obviously a very loud piece and a super thick and heavy piece, so it'll keep you very warm, but not something you want to wear with a lot of other quite loud pieces, as with all the charms and everything, it does really scream out as being the statement piece of the outfit. So yeah, with that being said, let's see how I ended up styling it. So for this wild and crazy Raph Simmons sweater, I ended up just using the same pair of Yohji Yamamoto trousers that I used with the Yohji sweater. Just felt like it kept the same shape and the right mood. But instead of using the Dirk Bickenberg boots, I used the Palladium boots, as with the color, I didn't feel that it would need to be as heavy as the outfit with the Yohji sweater. So for the last sweater that I'm going to be styling for you guys today in this video, it's going to be this vintage university sweater. Canadian University, Queen's University, if you're familiar with it. This belonged to my grandfather, I believe, who went to that school in the 50s or 60s. So quite an old sweater, made of 100% wool, of course, and has the Queen's colors just on the left sleeve there. It is made actually in St. Catharines, Ontario, which is just this like small sort of rural town. Not too many people live there, but a nice Canadian connection for those that know. And just a very cropped, sort of fairly slim silhouette. Something that I don't really have in my closet as far as sweaters go, as you've seen from a lot of the sweaters that I've shown off. A lot of them have that sort of very oversized look going for them. So it's nice to have something a little bit different as far as fit for the types of sweaters that we have. Also, it's just nice to have a sort of family connection and keep those pieces within the family and get a lot more use out of them. So yeah, just this last one, a vintage Queen's University wool sweater.
So for this sweater, I once again kept it really simple, but instead of styling it with anything else on top, I just used a bandana as an accessory around the neck. I think it adds a really nice touch and adds to that sort of vintage feel. Used the Palladium boots on feet once again, as well as the Helmut Lang Painter jeans.
Alright, thank you guys very much for watching. Susie and I really do appreciate all the views that you guys give on the videos, as well as all the new subscribers I got. We got like 15 or 20 or so since the last video, and I know that doesn't seem like a lot to a lot of you and to the bigger channels, but it really does mean a lot to us. If you did enjoy the video, feel free to click that like button, and if you want to see more of us, want to see more of the content that we produce over here at Variety Show, you can subscribe down below and also hit the bell if you want to be notified for any future videos. You'll also find both of our social medias in the description down below for Instagram, as well as our selling pages for both Grailed and Etsy, if you feel so inclined to purchase anything that we have for sale. Thank you guys very much once again, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.